Today we're going to be unboxing this new MacBook Pro. Wow, imagine that. There's a MacBook in there. How's it going, everybody? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you so much for watching. So right off the bat, if you clicked through this to see an in-depth review of the new MacBook Pro M1 Max, keep in mind I'm not a tech reviewer. I do music tutorials, home production, tutorials on different types of music products and hardware and stuff like that. So I'm not really a tech reviewer, but given that I've got some blurred out hue colored bulbs in the background, I made a thumbnail that makes me look like a moron, and I did a clickbaity title, plus I got some of those awesome slow-mo panning shots. I guess all that qualifies me to be a tech reviewer. Anyway, so jokes aside, what I'm going to do in this video is to go through three aspects of the new M1 Max MacBook Pro. So one, general specs and features and comparisons between the new one and my 2017. Second will be video rendering on the exact same project on both machines to see what the speed differences are. And the third will be about music production. So the third one is really related to the video I did a couple of days ago about why I wanted to upgrade to the new MacBook in the first place. So it's my one machine for everything, and I've got two jobs and a bunch of side hustles, so speed's really important. And the things I talked about in that previous video, first reason was fan noise. My 2017 sounds like a 747, and it's not that big of a deal when I'm working on regular work stuff, but when I'm doing music production, it's really irritating to have to shut down Logic, even sometimes reboot it or shut it down entirely, wait for the fan to stop, and then start again. The second is, will it speed up general project opening in Logic when you've got projects that have lots of plugins? And the third would be bouncing projects out. So if you're not familiar with music production, typically, and this isn't a rule, you'll have a project where you record everything, you use whatever plugins to create the sound that you want, whether that's using amp sims or synths or whatever. You create all that stuff. You bounce that into stems. So for example, if you have a project that has four electric guitars, for example, you might bounce that to one stem, as they're called, and then you output those and you input those into a final mixing project, and then that's where you have less files to work on, possibly less plugins, and then it's a little bit easier and faster for you to work through that. Then export that again into a mastering project, and then do your final tweaks, and then output the final file. So sometimes with my 2017, I'd have three projects to deal with in that case. And then if I'm listening to the final project, you always miss stuff. So I might hear something that, oh crap, I hit the wrong note there, or oh, there's something that's a little bit out of time, or there's something I want to fix. I have to go back to that first project, go through that entire process again. So what I would really like to do is to be able to do everything in one project for bigger songs with more tracks and keep all the plugins running, so I don't have to commit these things and then bounce these to different projects just to be able to do the final editing. All right, so the first thing I'll get into is just general specs and size differences between the two, so I'll put that stuff up on the screen as I'm going through it. They're basically the same size. The 2021 model is obviously thicker and a little more squared off than the previous design. Right off the bat, there is a huge difference between display quality. The new XDR Retina display on the 2021 is fantastic, and I already thought the 2017 had a good screen compared to some of the previous models as well, but side by side it's a night and day difference, which is fantastic. The keyboard on the new model is much better. I didn't really have any problems with the keyboard on my previous one, but when I did have to get the battery replaced, the tech in the store said, have you had problems with your keyboard? Because while it's here under warranty, we can replace that, which I took as a sign that I should probably do that. So I did get it replaced, but I had a couple of stuck things here and there, but nothing too major compared to a lot of the complaints that I had. Another difference is obviously there's no touch bar on this model, and one thing I did like about the touch bar is I liked the volume slider much better than just pounding the buttons to go up and down, but that's not really a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. But the brightness of the screen was pretty cool. So if you've got it hooked up to an external monitor with the touch bar, you get two sliders in the touch bar, one to adjust each screen, which is cool. Now you can do that on the new model as well, but it's not as obvious as the touch bar. So if you're just hitting the brightness controls, it will obviously adjust the brightness of the laptop screen. Then you hold down the option key and it will adjust the brightness of the second screen that you have connected. So that was important for me because I have the LG 24-inch ultra fine display, which is insanely bright and looks fantastic, but there's no physical controls on it. So that was the only way to control the brightness. And again, size-wise, yes, the new model is a bit thicker than the old model, but I had the 15-inch 2017 model. This is the 16-inch 2021. And weight, the new one's a bit heavier. None of these really matter that much to me because 90% of the time I'm down here in the dungeon doing my work, and I do go to a co-working space about once a week or so. So it's, as far as taking up space in my backpack, it's about the same. So that's not really a big deal at all. I would say overall, and maybe this is just because it's new and I'm more familiar with the look and feel of my 2017 model, this feels higher quality. It feels very sturdy and thick. The hinge on the screen is more substantial. The plugs, the USB-C plugs on the sides of my 2017 have loosened up a little bit over time. These ones are quite tight and snappy. And then obviously the ports are different as well. So they brought back the MagSafe connector on the 2021 model. They brought back the SD card slot, which is fantastic because I have an external call digit device that I had to get for my SD cards and all of my other USB devices, because the music industry is still 48 years behind everyone and not many of them have upgraded to USB-C. Which obviously that's changing now, but there's still some old devices that are just USB-A, so I needed some extra ports for that as well. All right, and like I said, I've only had this for about a day, so general purpose using this for work, normally I'll have 5 to 8 tabs open in Chrome. Using visual editors, I'll have Pixelmator Pro open, I'll have Slack open, Spark email client open, potentially the Apple previewer for looking at PDFs and stuff like that. And that's usually what I have running all the time because those are the things that I live in the most. The fan has never come on. Actually, the only fan I can hear right now is the vent that's right above me. The fan has not come on under any usage at all. In my 2017, if I had all of that stuff open, the fan would come on. And again, not a big deal when I'm just sitting here doing my regular work, but still annoying when you just want something quiet and that stupid fan is just going like crazy. So speed-wise, yeah, flipping between everything, it's what you would expect. I mean, you've probably watched other reviews and videos. This thing is a freaking monster. It's fast as hell. Scrolling is completely smooth no matter what I've done. Even swiping between, music projects with 40, 50 tracks in it, cycling through the mixer and swiping back and forth is instant and fast, which is awesome. All right, so the second thing with video editing, I'm going to put this up on the screen as I'm going through here. So I have a project. I'll put the size and the specs of the video and the project. It's a mix of 4K filmed with this camera, my EOS M50 camera. I did some of the shots with my iPhone 12 that I did in 4K as well, and then I mixed in some artgrid.io footage, which is just high def, so it's not 4K because I'm too cheap to pay for the package to get the 4K videos. And this is my main use case. I do video tutorials for work that will be up to 15 minutes in length, and a lot of headshot videos like this for tutorials and other concepts. But primarily music videos between 3 and 4 minutes with, up to 5 or 6 different camera angles for band shots mixed in with some stock footage here and there, and then potentially some titles. The test that I put up on the screen there, I haven't done any color grading for any of it yet. The video's probably 80% done, but you could just see the rendering speed difference between the two is just quite phenomenal. And here's the fan noise for the 2017 when it was rendering. And here's the fan noise on the 2021. Yeah, and again, the only ambient noise that you probably heard in that second one is the vent that's right above me. All right, so the last thing is music, and I'm just gonna put these tests up on the screen. So I'll show this is the side-by-side of opening projects, which honestly wasn't a whole lot faster on the 2021 model than I thought it might be, but that's not a deal breaker by any stretch. Bouncing was significantly faster when I bounced that same project. Now, the third test that I did was I just opened up the project on my 2017. Logic has this feature called freeze tracks, and that basically is supposed to save you on processing time so you can run bigger projects with more plugins, and it won't actually load those plugins into memory or use any CPU to do that. So what I did was I unfroze everything and activated all the plugins, and it's not a big project by any stretch of the imagination, and here was the result on the 2017. So that's borderline unusable. So I need to freeze those tracks. And when you freeze those tracks, Logic has to re-render the whole project. So if I wanted to freeze like 10 and I kind of misclicked and only clicked on 9 of them, I'd have to refreeze it again, and it's going to take another 2 minutes to refreeze that entire thing, which is just a pain to work with. So now on the 2021 model, doing the same thing, playing back, here was the result.
Cover up my eyes. Feels like one of them days, same old story I've lived 1,000 times. Round and round it goes.
So obviously a lot better, no audio artifacting, and you can see the CPU usage is still spiking a bit even on the 2021, but the fan never came on. It never slowed down. There were no pops in the audio at all, and that one is a major one for producing music, because sometimes when I'm playing stuff back on the 2017 and I'm listening to it with headphones, I'll hear a pop or a click in the audio. I'll solo that track, I'll listen to it again, and it's gone. And then when I'm playing back the whole mix, the pop comes back again, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's just the playback of the machine can't keep up with how much stuff is in the project, so I'm not getting an accurate representation of what the track sounds like. So that was a real pain. All right, so let's talk price. Yes, it is expensive. I did get about 960 bucks as a trade-in for my 2017, and yes, I could have sold it privately for more, but I'd rather not go through that hassle, to be honest with you. So I'll put the prices that I paid for this thing up on the screen. And for me, it is a worthwhile upgrade because of my work situation. I've got my own business, I work for a startup, and then I've got a bunch of side hustles, and I do a bunch of different things. So speed is very important to me. I don't want to be sitting here, you know, trying to get a music track done, which is kind of a side hustle and hobby, and then have it take twice as long just because I have to restart the stupid machine, or the bouncing takes too long, and all this type of stuff. So it's worth it for me for sure. So it really depends on what your use case is about whether or not you should buy it. And there's lots of other videos there that talk about the law of diminishing returns. So, you know, the new M1 Air probably is good enough for most people, and it's still going to be a lot faster because lots of the reviews out there say it's an insanely fast machine for the price. So do you need to go with this fully high-end one? Really depends on what your goals are. I mean, I'm going to keep this thing easily for 4 to 5 years. That's usually my upgrade cycle. So for me, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's a tasty one, and it is completely worth it for me. So just to close off, I did mention in my previous video, because I'm focused more on music production, I'm going to do more videos on how much better and faster it can be to do music production with lots of different CPU intensive plugins on the new MacBook Pro. So drop a comment below if you want to see any of those specific tests. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. You'll get notified when that comes out. And if you're a tech reviewer watching this, I wasn't making fun of your hue lights and your stupid looking thumbnails and your clickbaity titles.